Welcome in, everybody. We're actually starting before midnight, July 26th, Sunday night here on the East Coast. It is the AEW Redemption post-show here on bodyslam.net. My name is Max Lindenberg, joined as always by my good friend Blackhawk, who's been joining me on all these AEW post-shows over the last year. We're talking about AEW Redemption tonight. Not as newsworthy or as unbelievable I think many people expect AEW pay-per-views to be, but there were still some worthwhile things on this show, some negatives, a lot of missing pieces to the show from a star power perspective, as this is the final stop on the AEW calendar from a pay-per-view perspective before All In, August 30th. We're a month away. Moxley is a minute in, is already posting in the comments. Welcome in, everyone. We're about to hit midnight here on the East Coast for Monday morning. Blackhawk, how you doing on this Sunday night here?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I agree. The event was lackluster, especially with the last 6 months. They've been putting out some of the best work that they've ever had, going into Redemption and then building up for All In.
Yeah.
I had high hopes for this as it's like a send off to All In. I know they've got a couple of weeks of Dynamite Collision in between, but this was like the big, before All In pay-per-view that you really want to start setting the standard for All In, and it kind of fell flat. There were some bright spots, there's some good matches, but as a whole together, it's going to be very forgettable, and we won't be thinking about this time next year at all.
Yeah, it's a very they were put in a very interesting position. We broke this down on our podcast on Friday when we did our prediction show. Again, already going in, you're already going to miss a lot of star power, right? On the women's side, Toni Storm, of course, is still out. Mercedes didn't wrestle on this show. From a men's perspective, MJF, Darby Allin, Hangman, Swerve did not wrestle on this show. So that's a lot of star power not on the show. Now, again, originally, this show was going to look completely different about a couple weeks ago. It was supposed to be Kenny and MJF. They pushed that to Beach Break, so that's why we had Omega and Kevin Knight. But yeah, I do think from a calendar perspective, I think AEW could, I think we talked about this, even though, again, Forbidden Door is one of their better shows they've done. It's still a weird place in the calendar to do it. And I do think if they're doing and I'm totally cool doing a pay-per-view before All In, but I agree. I think if they do this again next year, they probably need to emphasize this as a must-watch show. Because I have wrestling friends who usually don't miss AEW pay-per-views, and they didn't choose to watch the show tonight because they didn't feel like it was worth spending the money for All In. And I totally understand that. And we're going to be seeing the numbers, I assume, tomorrow, and see if there was a big hit from a pay-per-view number perspective. I think with everything involved, because obviously I think the last two matches had a lot change from a storyline booking perspective over the last months, right? We had the women's championship where Willow was supposed to win the Owen and then wrestle Mercedes at All In, where Mercedes goes in as champion and Willow's going in as the Owen Hart Cup winner. They had to flip that with Willow's injury, and then obviously Kenny and MJF. So they were definitely throwing a lot of wrenches in here. So I don't think it's all of it is on them. But yes, this definitely wasn't a pay-per-view from my. And you know what's frustrating too? We'll get to the show. I thought they came out. Usually Tony is really good with booking where the matches are. I thought he put his best three matches as the first three matches on the show, in my opinion. And I thought it definitely killed the crowd for a couple matches in a row, because the first three matches on this show were phenomenal. I was like, after those three matches, I was like, whoa, this is potentially another really good pay-per-view. It kind of went downhill after the first three. Did you feel the same way from like a structure perspective?
For me, that 6-man ladder match was one of the high points of the show, and they started out with that, and it just kind of dipped after that for me. I think the Maya World TBS Championship match was That one was a weird one. I'm happy for Maya World. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy for her. But the match itself was a little clunky, a little awkward.
Sure.
And it just kind of, the night just kind of dipped down, down, down. And then you get to Jericho and Ciampa. And that was like, okay. And then you get to the last three matches of the card and it kind of skyrockets up. So it was a weird build to the finale.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of it like had an awkward middle. And they usually don't have awkward middles.
Yes, I do think a lot of these matches didn't really feel like pay-per-view matches. Like My World and Shida really didn't have much build to it, even though the moment and I think the ending of that match was really well done. But Cage and Cope against Pac and Claudio didn't really feel like a pay-per-view worthy tag from a build perspective.
Yep.
Andrade and Mark Davis, you get the title change, but that didn't really feel like that could have been on a Dynamite, not on.
Yeah, 100%.
And I do think what hurt is, again, I'm happy AEW started this show an hour earlier, so the pre-show was at 6 and the main show was at 7. I actually thought this was a great opportunity to not run a long show tonight, but here we are. It's midnight.
11 matches.
It still turned into a 6-hour pay-per-view and I'm going to look through. The kickoff match was 12 minutes, but if you look at the main show, the shortest match was 16 minutes. It was the shortest match on the main show, and that was Andrade and Mark Davis. These matches were long tonight. I did think some of them went longer than they probably should have. Again, we're going to break down each of the matches, but yeah, welcome in everyone. That's just our general reaction. Let us know, just like Moxley is letting us know in the comments. We'll bring your comments up and talk to you guys throughout the night. If you're watching on any of our platforms, we're currently live on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So if you're watching on any of those platforms, hit that like button. Really helps support the channel. Post this, repost it, whatever you want to do. Share with your friends who are currently staying up past midnight on a Monday morning talking AEW Redemption. Luckily for All In, it's going to be probably like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern when we're on the air, which is we can actually relax and take our time covering All In.
Yep.
So welcome in everyone to our post show. Really appreciate the fact that we already have over 100 people in here at 12. The fact that we all have more than one person who watches us past midnight, I always think it's a miracle. So thanks for all you guys watching the show. So AEW Redemption took place tonight in Montreal. The kickoff show was an hour long. Only had one match though, which AEW usually does 4 matches on the pre-show. So it actually was kind of refreshing that it was one big segment, and then we had a match. So for me, honestly, this was a solid enough pre-show in my opinion. Let me just get to the actual part, because we had Mick Foley and Renee Paquette once again host. We'll talk about Mick Foley in a pretty weird segment later on in the show. But we had the celebration of the Rougeau Wrestling Dynasty in Canada. Daddy Magic came out to introduce them. It was a harmless. Rocky Romero of Don Callis family comes out. He gets beat up by the brothers and Daddy Magic. Got the crowd hot beginning of the show. This was a harmless thing to do. Again, I like that they do all of these things like this on a pre-show. Does not affect what happens on the main show. And then when we get to the buy-in match, it was a trios championship match. We had the conglomeration defeating the Lethal Twist. I have been saying this for months. I'm a big fan of Blake Christian, so whenever he gets on TV like this, really cool about that. Simple booking, which was conglomeration defended their titles against Dalton and the Outriders last night on Collision, and Lethal Twist got a win over Skyfly. So that's how easy it is, I guess, to get title matches here. Harmless. It was on the pre-show. Again, Ricochet, Gates of Agony, The Demand, they were out there. This set up a trios title match we're getting on Dynamite. Wouldn't be opposed to have a title change here on Wednesday and give Rico and Gates of Agony the win here. But what are your thoughts, I guess, on the buy-in itself here before we get into the main show?
I thought it was decent. It was a good start to the event. I was happy to see Blake Christian, Jay Lethal, and Lee Johnson all get a spot on a pay-per-view that's not a Ring of Honor centered pay-per-view. We don't get to see a lot of Jay Lethal on AEW anymore. So it was nice to see him. Totally harmless. You can run a trios match at the beginning of the show. You'll get a pop for the conglomeration, and they'll walk out victors. Because it wasn't any build to this match. It was just a throw them in a trios match, give them
Yeah.
something to do.
Yes, I think we both agree that we want to see more just TV time and care to the trios championships.
I agree. Yep.
Maybe a title change with Ricochet would help. I don't know if they're gonna do that because, again, spoilers, but Willow is the new champion. I don't know if they want to break up, already have the conglomeration drop titles on Wednesday. So it will be interesting what direction they go with
Yep.
on Wednesday. But first of all, Ricochet was great on commentary during this match. His promo backstage with Gates of Agony was very good in the middle of the show as well. So they are going to get the title match. It is crazy. They've been together for a very long time, have never won the trios title. So we'll see if the demand can do so. The show started with the ladder match to determine the number one contender for the international championship. So we had Speedball, we had Jack Perry, we had Nick Wayne, Beast Mortos, Komander, and El Clone. I thought this was a fantastic ladder match. Everyone, I thought, had moments to shine in this match. Just want to say up front, really happy to see Beast Mortos. If you guys are not familiar, he's been stuck in Mexico for months due to visa issues, and he literally just got back in the country this week, so very happy to see him back in the States. El Clone, I always like watching, very interesting person to watch. Cool to see Nick Wayne in a spot like this. It's been a while since Nick's been in a premiere match on AEW pay-per-view. So that was very cool. Obviously, the crowd was all in for Speedball because he is the hometown guy from Montreal. There was double moonsaults off the top of the ladder at the entrance ramp. Speedball went to the very top. Jack Perry was like the middle of the ladder, did a moonsault. There was an amazing Wayne's World where Nick jumped from in the ring to the apron and had an amazing Wayne's World on Speedball. I do think the moment of the match was the 3 table spots, which was El Clone hitting a coup de grace basically through the table. We had a frog splash in here, and then also Komander running the ropes and doing that twisting moonsault through Nick through a table. That was an unbelievable spot in this match. Nick hit a Phoenix splash off the top of the ladder through a table. Canadian Destroyer from Jack Perry from the top of the ladder outside the ring. But the match ended with Speedball doing that moonsault, 2 Mortos on top of the ladder, and he ended up becoming the number 1 contender. So what are your thoughts on this crazy ladder match to start the show?
Like I said earlier, I thought this was like the second best match of the night.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm happy Komander's back. He's one of my favorite luchadors. And then Beast Mortos, I've always loved watching big men wrestle. So Beast Mortos fits into that grouping.
Yep.
And so I'm happy he's back as well. And all these visa issues are starting to kind of resolve themselves. And we're getting back to the old AEW roster. I was hoping that Nick Wayne might pull out an upset here, but I do get, Tony loves a hometown pop. So I don't think any of the Canadians lost tonight.
No, plus it makes sense because the winner is going to face.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I'm not upset with Mike Bailey winning. I want to make that clear. I'm happy that he won. He's going to put on a really good match with Kyle Fletcher. So it's fine. It was a really good match. That's after that it starts to dip down for me, but yeah, I think this was really, really good.
Yeah, I did think Speedball or Jack were kind of the slam dunks on who was going to win, especially with Fletcher being the champion, and we kind of knew who was going to beat Bandido later in the show. So I thought Speedball got the crowd was all into this match. It was probably the hottest they were throughout the entire show. Speedball just felt like such a big deal, and that's good to do because now that will translate to other audiences. We'll talk about where they're doing Speedball and Fletcher in a little bit, but I thought this match was fantastic. All 6 guys I thought stood out, and that's the beauty of ladder matches is that you want to get everyone their spots in, and everyone kicked ass in this match. These are a lot of guys who probably don't usually get on pay-per-views, like outside of Speedball and Jack, the 4 other guys are just not normally booked in premier matches on AEW pay-per-view. There were stakes. On a show like this, you really didn't need to add stakes to the show. This was a match that they just made this match a lot better because they had real stakes to it. So Speedball gets the win. He gets that hometown pop. We get to another phenomenal match, which was the Young Bucks versus Moxley and Ospreay. The storytelling in this match, and then obviously to close the show, I thought was the best thing on the show from a booking and a storytelling perspective. So Ospreay finally, by the way, comes out with the Death Riders entrance. Usually he's been coming out separately. He's like all in at the beginning of the show with the Death Riders. But the match is sold on the fact that earlier in the match, Ospreay and Nick Jackson, their heads collide. And Nick Jackson is selling like he's concussed, like he has a serious head injury throughout this entire match. And the story of the show, which is going to be leading into the main event of All In, is Ospreay not pulling the trigger, right? Is the story of this show. He keeps making sure Nick is okay. There were multiple moments in the match where he could have just kept beating up his head. It was really expertly smart from a wrestling, like a smart perspective, because Ospreay started just doing body shots the remainder of the match to stop hitting him in the head. I thought that was really, really smart, methodical wrestling. Moxley, though, every second he could would just like power drive Nick on the outside, like beat him up, and try to show Ospreay what he should have been doing. But the end of the match, we talked about the Bucks needed to get the win to get to the tag title match All In. The question is, how would they get to pinning Ospreay or Moxley? They pin Moxley. Ospreay does not pull the trigger. Moxley comes in. Moxley brings a chair into the ring to end the match, and Ospreay refuses. Gets the chair out of the ring. The Bucks throw them into each other, and the Bucks pin Moxley. It was like a BTE trigger, and then they went like a billion super kicks after that to get the win. So I thought from like a booking and like a storytelling perspective, I thought they did a really good job accomplishing what the setup was going to be for the very end to the show, Blackhawk.
Yeah, I think that was the shining light of it all in this one. I did like the storytelling with Nick's head. I thought that was very interesting because early on in the match they were playing it like he had no idea where he was.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really funny because Matt was trying to tag him out and Nick was just like not there.
He did a good job selling that.
Yeah, he did a really, really good job selling that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we knew that Ospreay was not going to be in the Death Riders forever. He's not a permanent member. But I didn't think they would kind of cut ties ish so soon. I guess we'll really have to see till Dynamite or Collision to really see what is moving forward, what they're going to do.
Yep.
But it does feel like they're cutting ties. And we could talk about that more at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, the match itself was okay. There's a lot of cool spots, a lot of good spots, but I don't think it flowed super well compared to what I expected out of them.
Sure.
But yeah, this is what I was talking about. It started to dip down where it was like this match had some cool stuff, but it wasn't, it didn't carry the same energy through. But yeah, I thought it was good. I am looking forward to, now we got Bucks and Copeland Christian. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. I will say the whole night, every time they came out, I was waiting for the New Day to debut.
Sure.
Every single time they would cut to like looking at the ramp, and I was like, "Oh, here they come!" They didn't come. I was like, "Ah."
Yes, I knew. I think I was told, I saw a report earlier from SRS where I was told something earlier that their contracts, I think, are still not officially up yet. I think it could be this week they're up. So we'll talk about. Also, I did an article earlier about Kairi Sane. If you guys are not familiar, she's now officially her 90 days are up, and she. Is now being represented by Barry Bloom, who's one of the top agents for a lot of the top AEW wrestlers. Like he represents Omega, the Bucks, Ospreay. So I could hint that Kairi Sane could be going to AEW, but if you want to check my article out on biaslam.net, please go check out that article. I thought this match was actually really good. I think the Bucks are the last year doing some of their best work, probably their best work in AEW. So I'm very happy to see them. Obviously, them and Ospreay. Also, Marina took a super kick in this match. Really, Marina was all involved in this show, and I really did enjoy having her. She was involved in like 3 different matches on this show. So
Yeah. We didn't have a single match where she was involved,
No, she
a
was involved
lot,
in a lot,
which
yes.
was great.
Now, this is where I might disagree with you. This, to me, the next match was my favorite match on the show, which was Kyle Fletcher defeating Bandido. I predicted going in, it was probably going to be the best match. For me, at least, it delivered to me being the best match on this show. Bandido, it's rinse and repeat. This guy puts on one of the best matches on every pay-per-view this year. Now, he loses in every one of these matches. So I do think, hopefully, if it's not this year, next year, he's earned having big wins on these shows as a singles person moving forward. Him and Andrade killed it at Revolution. Bandido just puts on these. Him and Swerve had a really great match at a pay-per-view this year. He's just consistently he is one of the best wrestlers in the world, period. Now, at the same time, Kyle Fletcher might be a top 3, top 2. If you tell me he's the best wrestler in the world, I'm not really going to fight you. He has had 6 or 7 matches this year that you could tell me is match of the year quality, and I wouldn't really disagree with you. Both TV and pay-per-view. There's an amazing spot where Bandido went for like an outside the ring moonsault, and Fletcher caught him midair with the super kick outside the ring. That move you usually see just in the ring, but outside the ring, it was filthy because Bandido had a lot of airtime.
Yeah.
And Fletcher really hit him. He then hit a powerbomb on the apron. Bandido is just a strong human being as well, showing off his strength in this match. There's a brain buster on the apron. There's a really cool audible moment where Bandido's on the outside for a count out, and a kid, it was not a fake fan, like a kid was like grabbing him and like telling him, "You're good, get back in there." That was a really cool moment at like 8 or 9 now. The 21 Dragonplex was unbelievable. He usually just does like a suplex, but he turned it into a dragon suplex. Really cool stuff. The frog splash to the floor. I love every time where Bandido hits that suplex on the very top rope. Like, that move always hits. Fletcher was clearly hinting at Takeshita. Hit that running knee that Takeshita does. But the match ended, of course, with that buckle suplex off the top rope. It didn't look like he hit the buckle. He hit the ropes, which I still thought made it still look cool. So Kyle Fletcher beats Bandido. Again, predictable winner, but again, another just unbelievable match, I thought, from both guys. What were your thoughts, Blackhawk, on this match?
Yeah, it's kind of the same as the last one. I thought there were a lot of really, really cool spots, a lot of cool stuff that they were doing, but I think it ran a little long.
Okay.
I think you could have shaved 4 or 5 minutes off this match and had an even better match quality. That's nothing on either of them. I think it was just, I'm looking at, we're only 3 matches in and it's, 8 o'clock. It started at 6. We're 2 hours in here at 3 matches, and like, something's got to start picking up here.
Yeah.
And I think that one you could have shaved a little time off of, and probably had a better outcome in total.
Sure.
But yeah, it was still a good match. I think it landed at 4 or 5, in all of my ratings. Which is still, out of 11 matches, is still pretty high.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy it. I just think I feel like they could have done a little bit better with shorter time and kind of condensed some of the spots and made it flow just a little bit faster.
Yeah. Again, to me, this was my favorite in-ring match on the show. I just thought they both delivered. It was really thrilling. And again, I do think my problems with this match were already problems I had come in, which was it's another singles match for Bandido as Ring of Honor World Champion where he's losing matches. He's lost a lot of singles matches this year as Ring of Honor World Champion, and these guys who are beating him aren't even going after his title, which, again, why would they? Again, supposedly AEW is supposed to be a step up. I just don't think it helps Ring of Honor at all. I think Bandido needs to drop this title as quickly as possible and then start winning premier matches on AEW. Obviously, had a great run last year with Bandido being the tag champs. Cool. But he's done so well in ring-wise on these pay-per-views this year. I just think he needs to start winning matches. And
yeah, I
it's all about
completely
the
agree.
booking more than like the match. The match was fantastic. I just thought the booking around it. But again, I knew it wasn't that great going in. So it wasn't like this match was going to change my mind on Bandido losing. Don't love it, but that's kind of where we are.
Yep.
Then we had the chain match between the Dogs and the Bang Bang Gang. Now, this was a match that was hot at the very beginning because, again, everyone's seeing Jay White, first kind of big match since his return. This match went on for so long. It definitely dragged. I've never been a fan of chain, dog collar. Any of these matches are usually not for me. I know that they're very old school. I might be showing my age with not enjoying the stipulation. Now, again, storyline-wise, I get it. The Dogs need to be on a chain. I totally get why they did the match. It's a stipulation that's not for me. There weren't like as many memorable sequences because, again, one guy had to be chained to another guy. So it was tough to do like tag team sequences in the match. They kind of all had to be like Finlay was with Jay and Clark was with Juice. So it was tough to like combine them at particular points. So I just felt they were kind of limited by the stip. But the end of the match was the Death Riders, who we know have an affiliation with the Dogs, came out, tried to cost, they beat up Jay on the outside, and then the rest of the Bang Bang Gang came out to even the odds. But what cost the match was Marina with the shillelagh, gave it to Finlay. Finlay hit Juice. I gotta be honest, I'm actually happy that the Dogs got a win. Like, this is important. The Dogs need to win matches if they're going to be put in all these situations. I think we've talked about that since they've been in AEW. They have lost a lot since being in AEW. Do I think they're going to win the overall feud? No. I am fascinated what this leads to because it seems like we're going to get Death Riders and the Dogs versus the Bang Bang Gang. I would assume that's like at All In, but I don't know how you do a 5-on-5. There obviously needs to be like a stipulation for this match. But Austin Gunn also like jumped so high to miss a clothesline and like roll down the ramp that it did pop me. But I'm happy the Dogs won. But again, this was a match. The stipulation was not for me. They kind of felt limited by the stipulation, and this is kind of where the crowd started to kind of check their phones and watches during the show here. Blackhawk.
Yeah, they also started to lose me around here. I am usually a dog collar match kind of guy.
Yeah.
First off, they weren't wearing dog collars. They were strapped to the wrist, which I thought was a little odd. But I kind of understand it's a tag match. You don't really want people, connected by their necks in case,
Yeah.
chains get crossed up and now you yanking people by their neck.
Yeah.
But I usually enjoy those matches a lot. This one might have been the worst dog collar match I've ever seen. One, usually when you have these, you expect a lot of blood. You expect people to get beaten the hell up.
Yeah.
And they all kind of walked away from this, outside of a shillelagh hit, which the match would have happened the exact same if they had the collars or not. That's the big thing is there was no reason for the collars in this whole match.
Sure.
Which makes it bad. It was, in my opinion, the worst match on this show. But I really enjoy everybody in the match individually, which really sucks because I had high hopes for this. I thought it was going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
This one was a big letdown, and it really almost checked me out of the entire event.
Yeah.
I started losing a lot of interest here.
Sure. Yeah, and I totally get that. Again, I was pumped for this match, but again, I wasn't like the step made me like worried, and it lived up to my worries. Moxley saying he enjoyed it because they were beating the crap out of Finlay. You know what though, Moxley, in your face, Finlay pinning Juice. Yeah. And again, we talk about the Dogs need wins, and if they're not going to win this feud, just give them a win here. and then they can lose the big overall feud. I do hope Gabe gets back involved with this feud. Because again, All In is, around the, if Takesha's good for All In, I would hope Gabe would be good for All In. So
Yeah.
if it's Garcia and Yuta plus the three of them versus the Bang Bang Gang, I think that's fine. I'm just fascinated you're not doing like blood and guts at All In with this feud. I don't know if you're doing like a stadium stampede, if you're just doing like a street fight, because you're not just gonna do a regular just 5-on-5 just tag match. This needs. It does feel like a blood feud because of the Finlay J history. I think we're gonna get a Finlay J match, but I feel like that's gonna be like a Dynamite match to set up the pay per view more than just at a pay per view. At this point.
I feel like they're probably going to push all of the group stuff until they can confirm that they can have Gabe.
Yeah.
Because Gabe's big issue is not the G1; it's that he can't leave Japan.
Yeah, visa. Yeah.
And so until they can confirm they have Gabe, I would say they probably just do one-on-ones, tag team matches until they can confirm Gabe can be in the U.S. for this.
Yeah.
Or in Wembley for this on that day, and so I assume it'll probably get pushed to after All In. The story itself will be because this isn't a story where they have to be doing stuff weekly. There's enough history behind everybody involved in this that you could kind of let it sit on the back burner and maybe mention it in a backstage segment or something. Every now and then, and kind of keep it alive, and they interfere with each other doing other stuff, up until the point where you get to where all the pieces are together and you can have, the match that you want, the big blowout multi-man match, or, you move David Finlay and Jay White to All In, and then just move everything else after that or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe. I'll say is, in my opinion, I think they're doing the 10-man at All In. I just think it would be nice to have Gabe. I think the backup plan just put Pac or Claudio with Garcia. I think they're doing this All In because they can. I don't think they can lose steam because Jay just came back, and I just putting him right back to the back burner. I don't think helps anyone. In my opinion. Let's get to this women's TBS championship match. Maya World on her birthday is the new TBS champion. I was not expecting this. I thought her moment was going to be for the Ring of Honor title, but was I happily surprised. I thought this was honestly the right decision, in my opinion. Because why have Maya lose 2 title matches? Why would that make her valuable to the it would just make Ring of Honor look really bad that she's losing 2 title matches just to beat Athena. That isn't any momentum for her. So if they're doing Athena or not, we shall see. But I thought this match was okay. It wasn't like the greatest thing of all time. I thought Maya Mercedes was one of maybe my favorite women's match of the year so far. So it's tough to go from this to that. But she hit an amazing moonsault in this match. Shida hit a really good Meteora in this match as well. There's a really cool spot where Shida was go grab the kendo stick and the referee, and Maya kicked it right down the middle, snapping it. And I thought that was a really cool spot in the match. But Shida was just very impatient. Was the kind of the story. She kept thinking she had Maya down, hit that Falcon Arrow. She thought she won. Maya hit the ropes. And then Maya World defeated Shida. Got a really very happy. She got a very big pop. This was a moment I was not expecting coming in, but was really happy they did that. This is someone, again, we're not going to bang the drum about how she got into AEW, but again, she was a top indie performer just 8 months ago. It's amazing how quickly some things can happen. Honestly, very unfortunate that her brother recently passed away. But the last month of her booking has been good. And this is what you're supposed to do with young talent, is not wait around, right? Why just have them lose and lose and lose? Give them a big win. Shida was kind of an accidental, quote unquote, TBS champion. She just became champion because Willow got hurt. So I don't really mind her being a transitional champion. She had a couple defenses. Now Maya World is the TBS champion. What are your thoughts on Maya World becoming the TBS champion?
I'm very happy for her. Becoming the TBS champion is awesome. I had a feeling that she would lose this because, Athena has now passed Roman for the longest
Yeah,
ever champion. And so I thought that they would have her lose here or have Athena interfere
sure.
and keep Shida as champion, and then she goes into Athena, beats Athena, ends that reign, and is now a Ring of Honor Women's Champion. But then she won TBS title in not a great match. Um, I thought it was like decent. Like this would have been a great Dynamite match.
Sure.
And then coming out of the dog collar match before this into this one, it just the flow of the event was kind of dying, and I think it hindered their match to begin with.
Sure.
I don't think they were a super great pairing together, and then it was kind of clunky. They had some really good spots, but there was a lot of spots where they're just kind of
Yeah.
just doing stuff. Um, and so it was a decent match, but this could have been on Dynamite. We could have had something else here, or just shorten the pay-per-view. Um, and so it's good for Maya World. I'm glad for her. I'm glad she won on her birthday. That's awesome. But the match itself could have been
Yeah.
done at any time before All In.
Sure. Sure. I don't disagree with you. I do think they need to have more than one women's match on the show, but I just think
Agreed.
this and I'm very interested because again, Death Before Dishonor here in Philadelphia in a month is 9 days before All In. So I am actually fascinated with the direction here for Maya. The TBS title as a whole just has not been booked well since Mercedes lost it. Right? She lost to Willow at the end of the year. And Willow had a good start to the year, but once she became the women's tag champs with Harley, she put the title on a complete back burner. And then I actually liked her story after she lost the title because she was beating people who were coming back from like return. She beat Aminata, she beat NJ, she beat Shida. I was like, all right, she's beating people. That's a cool story. But then Willow obviously gets hurt. And even if she wasn't going to get hurt, she was going to go into the Owen and win the Owen as TBS champion, which I also was not a big, like, just drop the title before that.
Yeah.
So Shida's title reign forgettable, but she at least defended the title and was wrestling on a weekly basis as the champion. So I am hoping with Maya, because there's real excitement here. And you can tell based on, at least I was watching on social media, people are just very, very happy. And again, she's very deserving of it. That's what I believe. If they want to do women's, they could have done Tinkosi versus Divine Dominion. We'll get to the Divine Dominion. You can tell with the tag titles, they're just trying their hardest to separate Brawling Birds and them before All In. They just are trying at all costs to avoid them even touching each other until after this show. Probably on Wednesday, they'll start the build to that match. Or really, they did tonight by bringing them up in that promo. But right now, that's kind of what Divine Dominion's been doing, which is everyone knows Brawling Birds are beating them at All In Moxley, and I just think they're just trying to make sure they get to a point where they're not making this like a 4-month or they're making like a 1-month story.
Yeah.
Now, did I like the segment tonight with Mick? It was very weird. At first, I thought it was good. Like they made Mick sit down, and they were saying, "We're dominant. Have you seen a more?" I thought that was all fine. It was just the barking, the bow down thing, and he took that bow down as like barking at Lena Cross and Megan Bain. Did Nick Foley do the best he could with what that was? As he says, Nick Foley's just like me. It was a weird segment for sure. That's what I'll say.
Yes.
Weird segment. It got off to a really good start. I thought Megan and Lena were great promo-wise. It was just the ending of the barking with Mick sitting down was a bit off-putting for me.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an odd segment. But I did find it very funny. So if I find something funny, I usually will say that I enjoyed it. Okay. So I did enjoy it because I thought
people enjoy it. It's not like it's a harmless thing.
Him barking did take me by surprise. Yeah. It was a little shocking, which I think was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I got on Twitter as soon as that happened, and everybody was talking about it. Yeah. And there were some really, really funny tweets about it. So I think it was a really funny moment.
Yeah.
that we probably won't ever see or hear from again from Tony Khan and AEW, but it'll be living on the internet for the rest of our lives.
Yep. I do agree as well. Then we had Copeland Cage versus Claudio and Pac for the tag titles. This match to me was the one that felt the longest, that didn't need to be that long. Like, this match really dragged, in my opinion. The beginning of the match, I was like, wow, this could be a quick match, because Pac and Claudio just beat them up right away. I was like, wow, this could. But the match really slowed down. Now, this could be the benefit with at least the Bucks being involved at All In. It'll at least be a much more fast pace in this match. It was basically just hot, Christian got beat up for a long time. Cope would get a hot tag. Then Cope would be beat down for a long time. Cope would get a hot tag. I will say, I can't believe they've never had this as a finisher the whole career, but the pop-up spear looks good every time they do it. It's a good finisher. I don't know why they have never for 30 years used this as a tag finish. I think they did it one time in like the 90s. It looked great, dude. Like, Cope spears have never looked better until Cope throws it was a filthy finish. I really think they should keep doing it. Now, after the match, the Bucks come out and we get the confirmation that at least for now, it's Bucks versus Copeland Cage. Again, I think it's going to be way more teams. I think there's going to be a big ladder match, TLC, whatever they want to do. Because FTR, I think, are going to be involved. And I think we're going to probably maybe even see Motor City Machine Guns show up on Dynamite in Detroit on Wednesday. They could add their name to it. But again, the two teams that won matches on the show, I'm totally cool with them. Because some people, again, in my idiots, are just like, oh my God, they're just doing Bucks and Copeland Cage. I'm like, guys, I don't think they're just doing that. Just got to believe again. FTR are literally wrestling the night before All In London. They're going to be back. They're going to be on the show. I don't think anyone needs to be worried. Again, would Bucks versus Copeland Cage be great? I think the Bucks could probably get the best match out of Copeland Cage out of anyone. But I think it's going to be FTR, and at the very minimum, either or Motor City Machine Guns, New Day. So I thought this match was, like, again, very mediocre. Like, it was just a kind of it felt like such a extended WWE style match. Like, it just kind of dragged and dragged and dragged. The finish was cool, but to me, that was kind of all that was memorable in this match, Blackhawk.
Yeah, I agree. I thought they were going to end this very early with the separating of them. I'll give it to Pac and Claudio. They separated Cope and Cage or Christian like very early. Got Christian by himself in a corner, not moving, and it looked like they were just going to take out. All they had to do is take out Cope, and that was the match. But obviously that's not what was going to happen on one of these big shows. If this was like a Dynamite, I could see that being a finish. But yeah, I agree. This match went on for way too long. Another place where they could have saved a lot of time, and probably ended an hour early. But yeah, it shouldn't have been this long. Could have been on Dynamite. Could have been on Collision.
Yeah. Again, it's Canada. I totally get them having Copeland.
Yeah.
I'm on the Canada show. I just think this match had no story really, and
like I saw that they were facing, because I've been busy on Wednesdays, haven't been able to catch up with Dynamite, and I've been working on Saturdays, haven't been able to catch Collision, and so I haven't been as in tune with everything. And then I saw this on the card, and I was like, odd. All right. I was like, I like Claudio, I like Pac, so I was like, okay, maybe this could be really good. And it was just slightly above average, and could have been on Dynamite. If this was on Dynamite, it would have been a fantastic match. But it was. We're looking at a pay-per-view.
I think, and this is kind of just what it was. And again, they're saving Copeland Cage for all of these teams. I believe. I do think we're gonna get Motor City Machine Guns on Dynamite on Wednesday. I would be shocked if that's not the case. They sort of switch these belts since they're switching belts. I don't know.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know what you mean by that, Moxley. Let me know what you mean by that. Then we had Ciampa and Jericho, which again, I think the match is honestly better than it probably was supposed to be, but because I think Ciampa's really freaking good, everyone, and one of the most believable wrestlers in the world. I think the Death Riders should have won. No. Claudio and Pac, first of all, are never a team. They never are a team. Like Claudio literally wrestles more with everyone else in the Death Riders than Pac. He teams with Garcia all the time, and he really teams with Yuta all the time. I was like Claudio and Pac. That's kind of just like a random. I definitely did not think Death Riders were winning, or I don't think they should have won either, because you don't want Claudio and Pac in this ladder match at All In, at least in my opinion. I think they're going to be involved with other stuff, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Ciampa and Jericho. It was pretty violent. Now Jericho's entrance again. The Painmaker stuff is not for me. Was not for me 8 years ago in New Japan. Was not for me when he was beginning AEW. They announced him like he's undefeated. Like this is like the demon for Jericho is the Painmakers. They were like, this guy is undefeated, and they didn't announce him as Chris Jericho. They announced it as Painmaker. I was like, what? This is not like Finn Balor and the Demon. Like what are they? This is not like an alter ego or anything, but they're acting like it is. They brought the sand into play. The one spot that popped me the most was Ciampa beating up the mascot, the baby mascot for the Canadian. It was like a toy Canadian. And he got a lot of heat, which is good. This match needed energy to it. He really saved it down. He started hitting this mascot or this toy with a hockey stick, and he went to pin this freaking toy, and Aubrey Edwards went into the cover. I was like, what is happening right now? Did it pop me? It absolutely did. It's not for everyone. I totally get. For people, it's like, why would Aubrey count that? For me, it was like a harmless, fun thing to add to the match. There were some crazy spots. I'm shocked Jericho took the fairy tale ending through the table. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's actually shocking. There was a hockey stick. There was hockey pucks with thumbtacks on them. The sandpaper was filthy. Ciampa and Jericho were pretty much bleeding throughout the entire match. We had the avalanche air raid crash through the table, and the mirror was also, filthy. The finish was the power drill. So here's the weird thing about this match. I thought the finish was when Jericho misted Ciampa and hit the Judas effect with thumbtacks. I was like, wow, how the hell is he kicking? And then Ciampa kicked out. I was like, oh yeah, they have to do the power drill spot because they've been literally setting this up for months. And Ciampa taps out because Jericho is drilling his head in. We knew this was going to happen. We knew in every Jericho feud, he loses the first match and the feud ends when he wins the next match. I thought Ciampa, again, got the most out of Jericho for the second time. I prefer the Beach Break match more than this, but that's my thoughts. Blackhawk, let me know yours on this matchup here.
Yeah, this is the first hardcore / death match that I've seen on a major show that had zero energy until he took out the plushie. I don't get the Painmaker gimmick. I never got the Painmaker gimmick.
Yeah.
And they were selling it like it was the most fearsome thing in wrestling. And it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't really looking forward to this as a match itself. I think their Beach Break match was leagues better, and it didn't have any of the extra gimmick stuff with it. I think Chris Jericho, since he's been back, has been a better version of Chris Jericho in his AEW tenure.
Yeah.
But this is kind of like a dip into that better rise that he's had. And this is not a shame on Tommaso. This isn't really a shame on Jericho. It's just this wasn't a good match for either of them, really, when we were expecting maybe a Ciampa win, get over on Jericho in Canada, and kind of further Ciampa as a single star. And it was just like the spots kind of fell flat. Yeah. All the stuff they were doing kind of fell flat. There was some cool moments, but a lot of the stuff they were doing just kind of fell flat. It was just whatever. A lot of forgettable. Like they bled a lot for a forgettable match. That's the whole thing about it.
I had more fun with it, but again, I wasn't acting this is like a great hardcore match. I thought Ciampa got the most out of Jericho. I just think the finish is what was weird. I just thought the finish was clear, which is the mess, and the Judas effect attacks probably should have just been it. But again, I feel like if you're having the power drill spot, just don't do that missed thumbtack Judas Effect spot. Tez said out loud he never wrestled Paymaker. That's what Jericho did make this gimmick in 2018. I know. It's okay. I don't like when they're acting like the Painmaker is not Chris Jericho. That's when I was like, what? Also want to shout out, by the way, JP is currently covering the post show right now, the media scrum on Body Slam's Twitter right now. Him and Amber are currently at the post show, but JP is doing a play-by-play for you guys right now on the post show. So definitely go to Body Slam's Twitter right now. He's doing a play-by-play. Maya World kicked off the post show and said that she still can't believe she's the champ, and thanks Tony for believing in her, and now it's just the start. And then Speedball also talked and said that was his favorite win of his career tonight. His mother was in the crowd. And how about this? Watched him wrestle for the very first time. How about that? Unbelievable. So, really happy for Speedball. I'll be following Body Slam's Twitter if there's any more updates from the presser that JPJ is currently covering for us. So thank you, JPJ, for covering that. Then we had Andrade and Mark Davis for the national championship. Andrade has brand new presentation, like new music, new Titantron. That How You Know shirt, Blackhawk, is going to be selling off the charts, I believe.
It's selling like hotcakes.
Now, this is a match that on paper definitely didn't feel like a Now, I love Mark Davis, and I actually enjoyed his national championship run. Like, his in-ring work has been really good. This didn't really feel like a pay-per-view, third to last match on a pay-per-view. Other than the fact that they just wanted a title change on the pay-per-view, you know. Andrade got the pop for taking his pants off, because of course. Andrade hit a moonsault, though, from in the corner to the other, outside of the ring corner. That was a really good spot in this match. That elbow he hit, too, was gross. That was one of the loudest hits of the night.
Oh,
but
yeah.
we knew it was going to happen. Andrade wins, and they are definitely setting up MJF because he still has that diamond ring. So I do think Andrade versus Max is the match for All In. Now, again, I think people are going to be like, wow, Max is now going from the world title to the national championship. Sure, on the page, that's what it is. Andrade's a big star. I don't think, if you watch he had a huge pop throughout this entire match. He was
People love Andrade anywhere he's at.
The How You Know was over in this match.
Oh, yeah.
So I know people on the page are like, wow, Andrade and Max is for the national. I still think they are going to kill it. And I think that story is actually very good. So I'm actually excited for Andrade and Max when we get to it.
Yeah, I think they've built up a lot of animosity between the two. So it makes sense. It didn't have to be for a title, but it'll probably be for the national title. And even if Andrade drops it and Max picks it up, the match itself will legitimize the title as something to be desired because both of them are fighting over it. We're getting a former AEW World Champion and a future AEW World Champion. Somebody who's been at the top of those spots trying to get the AEW World Champion, a former New Japan Global Champion as well. I can't forget that. So it's just, it legitimizes the national championship and makes it, worthwhile to hold.
I actually, and we'll count this into the Speedball thing, because Speedball said he's going to get this match with Fletcher at the Mexico show, in Arena Mexico, which I'm really pumped. They're going back to Arena Mexico. I actually think if Max is back in time, they would do Max and Andrade at Arena Mexico, because Andrade would be a huge star. That could main event the show if you do Andrade and Max.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I actually think they could do this at the Mexico show. I'm interested if that means they're not doing it. I'm very interested if they do it at the Mexico show, what that means for All In. But let's move to our final two matches. Thekla loses the title to Willow. There was a bloody match because Willow is still suffering from an ear injury, and Thekla made that bleed, 30 seconds into this match. Just want to say Tekla's gear, really cool. One of her sickest gears, I think, since being in AEW. So this was a weird match. So I think a lot of people were disappointed that for Willow, not for Willow, everyone's happy that Willow is finally the world champion. I think people thought it would be a bigger moment. This is one for me where I totally get the complaint, but I also feel it was kind of out of their hands. This is kind of the best thing they want Willow and Mercedes All In. If that's what they were planning on for months, this is kind of the only way to do it after Willow's injury. So
Yeah.
I totally get, like, they wanted Willow's moment to be at All In. That was the plan. Win the Owen, win it All In. Now, obviously, I did think the finish was weird, where Sky Blue came out and was obviously, like, in front of the ref's face, put Thekla's foot on the rope, and the announcers were like, did the ref see that? And I was like, I would freaking hope so. It was literally right in front of him. Willow then beat up Sky, then got the finish. Again, I thought Thekla's had better matches. This doesn't deny Thekla had an undeniably great women's title run. And Willow is a very deserving world champion going into All In. Am I nervous with Thekla's booking now? Not as champion. I am, because I do think she deserves a marquee match for All In. I hope that's like a Kairi Sane Stardom versus AEW match. I hope. We'll see. But again, I totally get the people who are complaining and saying they felt like Willow deserved a bigger moment. But again, I think it was kind of out of their control, and they want Willow to get to All In. It's kind of the only way they have that option. So that's how I feel. Blackhawk, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought this match was good, but there were a lot of like odd ref spots. Like Thekla also put her foot on the rope to like get a leverage pin.
Yeah.
Like in plain view of the referee. And then Sky put her foot on the rope to break the count in front of the referee. And so it was just like a lot of like, you guys are supposed to be probably the top women heels right now, like as far as a group, and you're making like rookie mistakes here. And then I'm glad Willow won. I'm happy for her that she won. Yeah. I hate that she won with a backslide.
Okay.
I think that when you have these championship matches, and especially the main number one championship,
sure.
They were building for a big finale, and then the big finale was a backslide. And if you've been building for something like a backslide, it makes a lot of sense. But this one was like, do something big, like a giant power bomb, something that looks like it's going to take Thekla out. Because it seemed like Thekla was like still fighting, and then just got wrapped in a backslide and didn't really fight out of it. She just kind of took it, and then that was the match. So I didn't love the finish. I'm still happy with the result. Yep. But the finish was bad.
Okay, I agree. I thought she could have just hit her babe with a power bomb and just been it. I agree, because I will say the roll-up made me think they're doing a three-way. But again, I still think if you win a tournament, your championship match should not be a three-way. You earned a one-on-one
Agreed.
match. So we'll see how they move forward with this.
Yeah, I feel like Thekla's going to complain that she didn't actually get beaten and all this.
It's the Mexico show. Totally.
Yeah. I think it's just pushing a narrative for her to get another rematch. Which isn't always a great thing to know at the end of a match. Oh, they're just pushing for another match later.
Yeah. I think they're doing Willow and Mercedes. There's a report from Fightful earlier today that's been the plan for months. I think we've all known this has been the direction. I'm not worried at all about Willow and Mercedes all in. I think the match
is going to be great
every time they wrestle each other. But I am interested story-wise how they're doing this, because it's going to be very interesting. Kevin Knight versus Kenny Omega ended the show. Again, this was not the plan. It was supposed to be Kenny Omega and MJF. That alone probably would have made this a much bigger deal pay-per-view for many people and worth paying to see. Again, we do not know yet why the match was pushed to beach break. It was something to do with MJF. We're not going to speculate, because there's nothing to speculate on. No one knows any idea. It's not been reported on by anyone why it was moved up. It was just moved up. So we got Kenny and Kevin Knight. I already said my complaints on Friday, which was, why is Kevin Knight not caring about his own championship? Above that, this match was very good. And Kenny Omega, again, is a great... You walk into a match, you expect a great match. Kenny always delivers. He's one of the most reliable wrestlers of all time, where any spot you put him in, he's going to deliver. Kevin Knight is an undeniable superstar who will become a main event guy for them in a year or two from now. I think him and Kyle Fletcher could be the top 2 guys for the company for the next decade. I think there's a very good chance of that. They had, I thought, very good chemistry. The crowd was good, chanting Speedballs better at Kevin Knight throughout the whole match. I thought it was really cool. The Snapdragon on the apron, Snapdragon on the announce table, cool. There was an amazing spot where Kevin went for like top rope out of the ring. Kenny caught him midair at the V-trigger. Kenny, though, hitting that like Hurricane Rana from the outside of the ring from the top rope. That was really cool. Kevin Knight hits a really good coast to coast, by the way. He gets there like with more room than he needs every time. Like, it's very impressive, his reach. But the match was Kevin Knight went for like the jumping clothesline, midair V-trigger, right into the one-winged angel, and that was the match. Before we get to the post-match, what were your thoughts on the main event here?
I thought the match itself was very good. We all knew Kenny was walking out of this as champion. There was no doubt in anybody's mind that Kenny was going to win. The match for me was about, is Kevin Knight ready to be in this main event spot? And he proved without a shadow of a doubt, he is ready to be a portion of the top of the card. This was a really, really, really good match. Kevin Knight's still very young. Kenny's one of, arguably one of the greatest to ever do it. And for him to put on a match this good with, Kevin, who is not necessarily green, but he's still very young, still very, like, this is like the highest he's ever been on any card.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see him here. And I think it bodes well for his future, especially with AEW as a company.
Yes. Also want to keep going from the press conference. Kyle Fletcher was asked about his tension with Okada. He said he needs a hard sit down with him and Okada. Again, I think they're doing Fletcher Okada Takeshita seems like the match for All In. And then also forgot to mention with Willow. Willow became the first women's Triple Crown champion in AEW. And she said that it's very surreal, and she can't believe she's in a small circle with herself, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page, and that she's very honored to be in the same breath as them. Very cool. Willow, very deserving person.
Yes.
For this. Again, thanks to JPJ for covering the press conference for us here at Body Slam. So the post-match, I thought was really good. Was by far, I thought, the most edge-of-your-seat thing on the entire show. So earlier in the show, after the Moxley-Ospreay match, Moxley and Ospreay are backstage. And Moxley said, you have to pull the trigger. You can't stop. He said, Nick Jackson has a neck injury. That's pro wrestling. You can't pull back. And he said, I'll show you later tonight what it's like to pull the trigger. And we all were assuming he's going to get involved in the main event somewhere. So the Death Riders come out. They attack Omega. The Bucks come out. They attack the Bucks. It becomes a situation where it looks like they're going to concerto Omega. Claudio's going to stomp him. Ospreay runs out and is like, no. You're not doing that. Then he hugs Yuta, and Yuta goes, right now, Claudio, do it. And then Ospreay shoves Claudio away, and then Ospreay starts beating up all the Death Rider, like chucks him out of the ring, hits an unbelievable hitting blade, by the way, on Pac. Pac really felt that hitting blade. And then it became the stare down between Ospreay and Moxley. And Moxley goes, here's the plastic bag. Please wrap it around Kenny. And the whole time, by the way, I thought Will was actually going to turn heel. Because we're in Canada. I was like, they're not like doing Omega. They're doing... But I was like, Ospreay going heel, even though he's going to get the cheers in London. He doesn't. He punches Moxley and puts him out of the ring. And it looks like... And then Ospreay does take off his Death Rider's insignia on his pants. So I think they are saying he's done with the Death Riders. Because he did take off the Death Rider's patch. And it looked like him and Kenny were cool. He was like, I ripped the plastic bag. We're cool. They started celebrating, and Omega hit the one-winged angel on Ospreay, basically showing him that he can pull the trigger at any point and that he does not trust Ospreay. Boy, did I think this was a good angle to close out the show. Now, I am interested because I thought they were going to keep Ospreay with this Death Rider stuff until even after All In. So I am shocked that they have already moved on. Not that they're moving on, And again, so as I said, Ospreay is the dumbest son of a bitch of all time. I think it's actually a really good story because I think Ospreay again is going to pull the trigger at All In. He's going to win the world title. So I think this is good storytelling. I am interested though what this means with the Death Riders because you need Ospreay and Kenny to feud going in obviously to All In. And by the way, I had chills when they were staring at the logo. Like it feels like the right match to main event All In. Because now you have Ospreay and Omega feuding, but you also need Ospreay and the Death Riders to keep doing whatever they're doing, right? Feuding. Are they officially broken up? Does that mean the Death Riders are involved in the main event for All In? I'm very fascinated in what happens. So I thought they're going to stay together, and then Mox would be like the first challenger after All In.
That's what I was going
Or
for
maybe
too.
they turn on Ospreay at like the Dynamite after All In, which is like maybe Ospreay's doing a celebration. He's like, you never thanked us for getting you here or anything. They did it here. So I am fascinated now what happens with, Moxley needs a match at All In, of course. What does Moxley do at All In? But what are your thoughts, I guess, on this closing angle of the show?
I enjoyed it up until he and Ospreay and Omega were like celebrating together.
Yeah.
They were about to lose me there. And then when Ospreay turned, I was like, okay, Omega turned. I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. But yeah, I really wanted Ospreay to stay within the Death Riders until after All In at least. And I figured you would go, Moxley at All Out in Chicago. And I don't think you pull the trigger on Moxley there, but a big match. That's a huge match. So I don't know. I am not excited about him leaving the Death Riders. I will be tuning in Wednesday to see, kind of where things go from here. Because that's going to be the big thing is, what happens next? What are they doing next? Because obviously, like you said, Moxley needs a match for All In.
Yeah.
Whether they just start feuding as the Death Riders with some random team.
Or Hangman, maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Or Hangman, I don't know. And nobody really knows what's going on. And so, it just kind of leaves a lot of questions. And sometimes it's a good thing. This time it's like a kind of awkward, like, oh, well, why did you do that here? It's like there's plenty of time to do that, other places, but I don't know.
I do think, just to add in too, Moxley did say that you're going to have to learn the lesson the hard way. I wonder if, and I agree with Mox's take, which is he thinks Mox's going to give him the "I told you so" and Will's going to apologize. They could do that. I could totally see him, Ospreay being like, "You were right. He pulled the trigger. I need to wake up and They could do that. I could totally see that because it wasn't like he hit the hidden blade on Pac, but he punched Moxley. It wasn't like he was beating up or doing all of his moves on Moxley. And Moxley did not want to fight Ospreay. Like when people were trying to get back in the ring, he was holding them all back. So I trust this story because it's been very good, fascinating with Death Riders and Ospreay. So I'm not sure Will is going to be back with the Death Riders, but I think Will is going to be like, I understood that I need to wake up. I think he's like, I agree with Moxley in the fact of, I agree, I need to pull the trigger, I need to stop holding back. But at the same time, I think there's a middle ground of pulling the trigger and not trying to kill someone. I think he wants to be that middle ground, which is like, I care for people, but I don't want to but I need to when I need to really go for it, but also not decapitate people with chairs. Which I do find is actually a really fascinating story because I actually do think that he's going to win the world title at the Tiger Driver, and that's how he's going to beat Omega. I do think that's how it's going to happen.
He did tweet out earlier this week, I think, that he said that he would use the Tiger Driver if he has to.
Yeah.
So I was like, it sounds like we're getting to see the Tiger Driver.
Yep. I think this show, did it lessen my excitement for All In? No. Did it accelerate it either? I would say no either. I'm still pumped for All In, and I'm not worried at all that All In will be an amazing show. Not worried at all. But yes, could this show have accelerated. Like, could we have been, I wish All In was tomorrow. I'm not sure it did that, right? And I think it's a lesson. Again, it's the first time they're running a pay-per-view this close to All In. They're a new company. They're going to learn. Again, I think if most companies had this as their worst show of the year, I think a lot of companies would sign up for that. Because I don't think this was a bad show. It just wasn't. Again, I think Black Hawk and I agree that their last two pay-per-views were, you could say, two of their best shows they've ever done. So it is tough to go from that to this. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of people are going to be probably too harsh and say it was a bad show. It was not a bad show. It just wasn't a edge of your seat.
It didn't live up to the hype of the last two, and it didn't really push anything forward to All In either. It just kind of was an event, and that was the whole thing.
And again, when AEW first started, they used to do 4 to 6 pay-per-views. All of them were fantastic. They had time to make now, right? They're going to do 11 to 12 pay-per-views a year. It's going to be tough to have best show of the year 12 times a year, you know? And I'm not saying that's their fault. Should they try to make every show great? Yes, but it's going to be tough to have such a high standard 12 pay-per-views a year. So I thought it was solid. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good. There were some really good I thought the first 3 matches were fantastic. I thought the ending segment was fantastic. But yes, and there was some, again, Willow, Maya World, pumped for them. Andrade, happy for the title changes. But yes, there's not going to be like match of the year, memorable matches from this show, I would say, on the whole year.
Yep. I rag on WWE a lot, but I think one thing they do have right is doing A shows and B shows for their pay-per-views, where, you know, you have A shows like SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, those kind of things where they put a long emphasis on, you know, these are going to be long shows. We're going to be in it for a long haul. And then they have shows, you know, in between them, like WrestlePalooza, you know, the Saturday night's main events, stuff like that. They're doing in between them where they're shorter, more concise. And I think this could have been a really good opportunity to test the waters on a shorter, more concise show. Yeah. That kind of just gets some things done and points to All In as this is the next, this is next, this is next. You know, hype, go this way. But instead we got, you know, 6 hours and 11 matches. So it was just a long night for nothing. This was an opportunity to have really, like a 3 to 4 hour show. This was definitely an opportunity to not be long. But yeah, this show had no business being a 6 hour show tonight. It was not a case. Now again, am I happy that we're not at 1 a.m. starting to talk like we did? Even though we love the indoor, we were not happy that we were basically on here until 3 a.m. So I'm happy we're about to be done. So Blackhawk, where can people find you? You can find me at Blackhawk Walker on all platforms other than Instagram. It is the Blackhawk Walker. I do match ratings. I've already gotten this one up for the night. I posted a schedule earlier this week. You can check that out on my Instagram or Twitter of all the things that we'll be participating in or posting this week. So if any of that interests you, make sure to check out those specific pages on those days. For Body Slam, I do the AEW post shows with Max and Not So Young Lions, a New Japan podcast with Max as well on Fridays. So make sure to check that out. That is also on the schedule. So make sure to go look at that. Yes. So again, find me at Dinenberg Max on Twitter, Max Dinenberg on Instagram. Please go to biosam.net's website. I did 2 articles today. We're trying to get 2 to 3 articles out a day for you guys. But again, there's other people writing as well. So please check out. Today I did a story on Kairi Sanes getting Barry Bloom as her new manager, her new agent. So go read about that. I also did a story, more news about CM Punk and AEW, about who he allowed backstage at AEW Collision when he was in AEW. The more years we're separated from Punk and AEW, more information will come out. So I did an article on that today as well. So go check that out. Plus, I do highs and lows. I was busy this week starting a new job, so I didn't want to like completely commit. But on Monday last week, if you saw that high and low that I did for Raw, I'm doing that every night this week. So for Raw, NXT, Dynamite, Collision, and SmackDown, the format is I'll be on top, and I'm going to have some video for you guys from the matches I break down as well at the bottom. So definitely check out TikTok, Instagram, and then YouTube as well. That's where that video will be posted. And I do
Plus, the post shows are not over. I got 2 more next weekend for you guys. SummerSlam is next weekend. So Saturday night and Sunday night next week, I'll be doing the post shows for SummerSlam. And then Blackhawk and I will be back for a post show for All In. We finally made it to All In. I can't believe it's about to be freaking August already. I really remember Blackhawk, us starting the year at the Tokyo Dome. And it does not feel like that was 8 months ago.
Yeah, what, 8 a.m. after watching another 6-hour event at the
It was
Tokyo
like pitch
Dome.
dark outside. We finished the post show. It was like morning already. We're like, that's how you define live streaming the Tokyo Dome. But so we'll be back for All In. Luckily, that show I think is starting at 3 o'clock Eastern. So we should be on the post show by 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and be done by 9 o'clock. We are so pumped to not be on here all night talking AEW. So join us in a month or so. And as I said, this Friday, same time, 6 o'clock Eastern, Not So Young Lions. Me and Blackhawk will be breaking down this weekend's action of the G1, as well as Wednesday and Friday's action of the G1. So if you like New Japan, you like the G1, Not So Young Lions is for you. We are going on for a bit long. I'll let you guys go. Have a great week, everyone. And we'll see you guys very soon for another AEW post.